I've got a list of 30 Rubin predictions. They're always wrong.
God, you're such a smug prick.
Piers, I am begging you, stop inviting these stupidest leftists on to make the argument for trans civil rights.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We got another phenomenal debate here from the Piers Morgan show that we're going to watch together. We got these two liberals right here in the middle get absolutely destroyed by Dave Rubin. And then also Piers Morgan brings on a trans woman that's also going to come on here and absolutely destroy them. And basically the context of the conversation is that Piers is letting these leftists know that the trans debate was a bigger issue than these leftists made it out to be. And it was actually one of the reasons that the Democrats got blown out in this election. Of course, many other reasons was a part of it as well, but this was also one of those issues, but the left, especially these two liberals right here in the middle, seem to just dismiss it. So we're going to watch this clip together, and also make sure you stay to the end, guys. We're going to read the comment section, but please hit the like button down below. It really helps the channel out. Let's get it going.
A magnificent quartet of white dudes, if ever I've seen one. David Packman, I want to start with you. You were very clear to me when we spoke before the election that this whole issue of transgenders in sport and so on was completely irrelevant and nobody cared. Let me remind you.
You're saying Kamala Harris and Biden have come out in support of this.
They do. They support policies which actively protect. They support policies that protect transgender athletes performing in women's sport. And I think that is madness. You're saying, well, because most of these things in this UN report were outside of America, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
What I'm saying, it's a completely contrived issue that almost no one cares about in every single opinion poll.
Wow. Well, the problem is, David, you couldn't have possibly been any more wrong. Because
I love when Piers Morgan brings people back on the show to make them eat their own words. It's absolutely glorious to witness.
The New York Times, the liberal Bible, did a whole piece about the ad that Trump ran, which is the Kamala's for they, them, Donald Trump's for you. They said it was one of the most effective 30-second spots in political history and may have shifted the race, according to her own side, by 2.7 percentage points in Trump's favor after people watched it. Let's take a look at the ad before I come to you.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
What an absolute masterpiece. Who is responsible for that ad? That was perfect. Well done.
So, look, on reflection, David, do you want to admit you were completely and hopelessly wrong about this?
No, in fact, in the aftermath, we figured out how dishonest you were, Piers, during that. And hopefully we can get a little bit of an opportunity. So let me lay it out.
Of course.
First of all, I went back and looked at the UN report in more detail. The UN report said nothing of the sort that you said. What you were referring to dishonestly was one footnote from an anti-trans organization making completely unsubstantiated claims. So I will wait for the apology from you. The UN report doesn't say that, but that wasn't the crux of your question. Second part of it, that ad with Kamala, I would have loved Kamala to respond to it. All she had to say was at the time that she said that, it was Trump administration Bureau of Prisons policy that's what's available to trans inmates when determined medically necessary. She would follow the law. You haven't said that. And then number three, Piers, on who cares about the issue, I checked Gallup survey, trans issues at the very bottom. The reality is almost no one's trans. Almost no trans people are in competitive sports. And people do not care about the issue. However, there's a lot of money made grifting about trans this and trans that, even from people on this panel. So I get why they keep bringing it up.
Ben
Never made a
Ferguson,
dime off that.
Ben, you burst out laughing then. Would you like to take the first shot back?
Yeah, number one, I've never made any money off the issue, and I doubt hardly anyone that I know, if you want to talk about how few there are making money off trans issues. But that was a very interesting play there. I don't think it's a good one, but we'll move on from that to the second point.
If that's what he meant.
Yeah, Vanderbilt, for example, they said, and I quote, "You better get on board as a doctor, and if you don't with trans surgeries, you're out of here." They said that on tape and got busted. Then they said that every kid that we can bring in.
Question.
I'm answering the question, and you may have heard a different question than I did, so you can calm down and let me finish.
Apparently.
You look at what they said at Vanderbilt. They said over $1 million is what each kid is worth if we can hurry up and get them these surgeries, because they're going to be on drugs the rest of their life. And we're going to be able to own them for the rest of their life financially, and we can make millions off the kids. They said that at Vanderbilt University. Now, back to the bigger point here about the election. The reason why this was an issue in the election is because Democrats made it an issue. They wanted to force little girls to be in locker rooms with grown men. They wanted to force women off the podium and allow men
like Mark
on
Robinson,
the podium.
huh?
Riley Gaines is a great example of this. Maybe you should listen, and then you'll understand why you got your ass kicked in the last presidential election and nationwide. Actually, I'm glad you guys aren't listening, because you don't listen to the damn people. And the people said this was an issue. And then you mocked them and you act like it's not an issue when in fact it is an issue. So keep acting like you know what's going on in this country when the reality is this was an important issue to voters. It was an important issue to mothers. It was an important issue to moms that have girls in sports. It was a really important issue to men and dads that have young girls in sports. And so when you act like you guys weren't trying to do this, and you weren't mandating that men compete with women and men beat women in sports, and you weren't protecting young girls in the locker room, this is what you get. You get the American people and the silent majority that said no more of this radical and extreme position, and they showed up on election day. And if you would have listened to the American people, you would have understood this issue mattered to moms and dads, including liberals and undecideds, and that's why you lost.
Yeah, look, I just don't think there's any doubt about this. Let me bring Brian Tyler Cohen in here. You know, as much as my Democrat friends want to try and put their head in the sand and pretend this was not an issue, it just all played into the same big issue for the Democrats, which was firmly rejected by the American electorate across the board, by the way. Latinos, blacks, whites, Jewish, Muslim, just about everybody gravitated to Trump in this election in bigger numbers than before. And a lot of it was down to the economy. A lot of it was down to the immigration crisis. But a lot of it was also down to what is perceived to be just woke insanity, including this whole trans debate.
I mean, the Amish voted for him. The Native Americans, I believe, voted for him at like 60%. Everybody voted for Donald Trump. Everybody did. It was overwhelming.
And you've heard Bill Clinton was warning them about this. Joe Scarborough said afterwards it had been a disaster. You're seeing David Axelrod say they should never have fought on this hill. Lots of senior people now are coming out and saying this was a massive strategic error, because you're trying to basically tell people the sky is blue when it's red.
Here's the reality is that this wasn't an issue except for the fact that Republicans made it an issue. There was almost $250 million disinformation campaign surrounding the issue of gender reassignment surgeries among trans inmates. This is a position that Kamala Harris has been virtually silent on for over the last 5 years, but they took a cherry-picked a quote from 2019, shoehorned it into the narrative.
She said it.
Put a ton of money from a very well-funded right-wing media ecosystem behind it, and convinced Americans that, again, an issue that Kamala Harris didn't say a word about in this election cycle is somehow the most important issue in this election cycle.
She had so much more money than Trump to spend. So much more money.
$1 billion.
But the idea that the right had all the money here.
It does not change the fact that what the right's money went to was a well-funded disinformation campaign
You say disinformation. Are you denying she said what we all heard her say?
No, but I am denying that it's her position.
Why did he drink water? These people here just be trolling.
Or that this was her position in the 2024 election cycle. Some comment that she has walked away from 5 years ago before she was vice president does not create her position now. But nobody would know that. Nobody would know that. If I could just have
simple question. Simple question for
Ben,
you.
if I could just have 1 second to finish what I said. I know that you want to shoot one in, but you're going to have to be quiet until I finish my comments.
If you say,
if there wasn't such a well-funded effort, I could do the same thing, bro. I can just talk over you the whole time as well.
I'm asking you a genuine question about members of Congress. Name any Republicans that had trans flags in front of their offices, and then tell me how many Democrats had trans flags in the halls of Congress. You cannot tell me this wasn't an issue when there were congressmen and senators
the notion,
that if you walk the halls of Congress had trans flags up. They made it an issue. They made it an issue, man.
Do you just want to yell, or do you want to actually have a conversation? Because I know that you love the sound of your voice. But the fact that somebody
wants to yell.
Ben, my dude, I know you just want to yell. Like, this is, it's great that you have your own show. You can do that into a camera with nobody interrupting you the whole time. The fact that somebody could acknowledge the humanity of trans people is not the same as the issue of gender reassignment surgeries for trans inmates. And if you ask the majority of Americans, because of this very well-funded right-wing disinformation campaign,
it's
where
not
again,
disinformation.
What's the disinformation?
I'm about to say, that's a good question. What is the disinformation? Great question.
$250 million was put behind this thing.
Piers,
that is why the vast majority of Americans thought she was
Okay, look, before I come to Dave Rubin, I actually want to bring in an extra guest, the former Democratic congressional candidate Brianna Wu, who is also a trans woman. Brianna, welcome to Uncensored. I can't think of anyone better.
She about to cook.
Qualified, given you're the only trans member of the panel now, to respond to what our two liberal friends are saying.
I'll be trans if it'll give me a chance to talk.
You've had so many shows.
There's something
on trans
actually
people.
there. There's something there, Dave.
It's always some gay person that's talking on our behalf. So I'm really excited today to talk about how everyone here is wrong. David, I love your show. I consider you a friend.
I can't be wrong.
You and the Democrats are completely wrong about what trans people need. We don't need you advocating for, trans vaginoplasties in prison. We need to retreat back to the basics of what we need, which is HRT and healthcare. And the problem is the Democrats have been captured by this fringe left that has redefined what trans means to all this non-binary nonsense and all this stuff that has nothing to do with how we got our rights in the first place. Ben, you can appreciate this. I was the first trans person to ever transition at Ole Miss, our alma mater. That was very, very difficult. It was 20 years ago, toddy. And the thing is, the way I got equality and got people to respect me in Mississippi was not by screaming at them or lecturing them about my pronouns. It was getting them to see my humanity. This is something trans people have just completely lost. And the problem is the Democratic Party is unwilling to call out these bad actors. And because of this, we are having a conversation that does not serve trans people. Piers, I am begging you on this show, stop inviting these stupidest leftists on to make the argument for trans civil rights. Let some people actually understand this stuff. And Dave is laughing because you understand integration as a gay man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've done the same playbook your whole career.
Well,
this works. This is
first
how you
off,
got
I'm only
marriage.
gay. I'm only gay starting at 10 p.m. What time is it? We'll have to check on that. But actually, you're completely right, Brianna. You're completely right. What's happening with the left is that these saviors, these progressive warriors that you see in these boxes here, think that they know more about these people than they know about themselves.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And by the way,
he's offended. Over there, buddy right here is offended.
This has nothing to do with a well-funded evil money machine that the Republicans were doing. There's something called boys and girls. And
Ruben's
they are
the right guy to
different.
talk about
and
that,
most
isn't
parents, oh God, you're such a smug prick. Listen, most parents actually want to defend their daughters and don't want them to have the crap kicked out of them by boys, and they don't want them to be playing boys in soccer or any of these other things. That is a defense of girls. If someone, as an adult, 18, 21, we can discuss the age, wants to dress how they want, have any surgeries, take whatever drugs, do whatever they want with their body, most people, even Republicans, don't object to that. And I have no problem referring to Brianna as she, because I can clearly sense she would treat me with respect and I'll treat her with respect. And it's a two-way street rather than pandering and bowing to a bunch of people that could not give a crap about anybody else.
Yeah, and David, let me bring in David Packman again, because you were very quick when I asked how you felt about being so wrong about this, to accuse me of being misleading, disinformation, construing a United Nations report. So because we're a very nimble team here, while you were talking, they just went and double checked because I was curious what you were talking about. And we found, we found the United Nations report. And it's not a footnote, as you said, it's page 5 of the report. It says, and I quote, the United Nations says nearly 900 biological females have fallen short of the podium because they were beaten out by trans athletes. The findings were compiled by the UN's Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, entitled Violence Against Women and Girls in Sport. The report said more than 600 athletes didn't medal in more than 400 competitions in 29 different sports, totaling over 890 medals. The replacement of the female sports category with a mixed sex category has resulted in an increasing number of female athletes losing opportunities, including medals, when competing against males, the report said. So, David, again, would you like to now apologise for being not only wrong about this being an election issue, but being wrong about your correction when I asked you if you were sorry for being wrong?
Look at the underlying source, Piers. I have it printed out
it was
in
a
the other room.
It wasn't a
Look
footnote.
at the underlying source.
It's page
now,
5.
I do want to say one thing about this. I actually agree with a lot of what Brianna and what Dave Rubin said. I actually agree with it. I am not the savior here to do X, Y, or Z for trans people. What I'm saying is I don't actually think I even need to play that role. I don't think this is the issue that maybe you think I believe it to be. So I agree with a lot of what Dave Rubin and Brianna said there. I do think it's important to consider that when Dave Rubin talks about well-funded this or that, his Russian money source just dried up, and he's the last person who should be talking about funding sources. And to be honest, Dave, hold on a second. Hold on. Now Ben's jumping. Everybody's jumping. Hold on a second. I can't even hear Ben. Why would Ben jump in? I'm not even addressing Ben. I think Dave's sorry that Brian and I.
You made a very direct charge against Dave Rubin. Let Dave Rubin reply to that.
Because no one believes your BS anymore. Jesus Christ, these people are so pathetic.
They've been indicted, Rubin. The Tenet Media people were indicted.
I got indicted.
He was not indicted. And it said in the report, if you weren't a smug prick, to quote him earlier,
I didn't say Rubin was indicted. I just said the money dried up.
That Dave Rubin and the others involved did not know about it. And this is why people think you're kind of a jackass.
Yes, this is why everyone hates
putting words in my mouth.
This is the reason why you read the report. And by the way, Packman, if this happened to you, and in the
Ben's
report it said you were unaware,
yeah.
if it said that you were unaware, I would defend you because I don't think you indict people for things.
I'm defending Dave.
Says in the indictment,
I'm defending
they had no knowledge of the money where it was coming from. So don't be a jackass.
I'm defending Dave on that note, but the money dried up.
Packman,
you're being a tool, man.
You are no real Pac-Man, which I'm quite good at. You know, there's a reason, Piers. There's a reason that everyone hates progressives, and the reason that everyone hates progressives, it's not just that they're wrong about all of the issues and they will lie and their only real goal is power. It's because they're also smug elitists. And Pac-Man, I did see online the other day, you were crying because your audience is purging you and you're running out of subscribers and you're in a doom loop. And the reason is no one gives, Piers, pardon me, a shit about this woke bullshit anymore. We've had it, and now you guys can sit back and be quiet. You want to talk about people being paid for their ideas?
Just let me address this.
It's you people who have had the entire cultural machine for 20 years. You've had all of entertainment. You have had all of Hollywood. You have had all of music. You've had all your P. Diddy parties and Epstein and everything else. And now enough of us have had it. So crawl back into your little irrelevant cave. It's time, bro.
Oh
Can I address any of that, Piers? Is that allowed?
Sure.
Okay. It is.
She's laughing at him, bro. He's getting cooked right now. Oh my God. This is glorious.
Absolutely true that in the 48 hours after the election, a lot of very upset leftists started pulling back from political content. I was hit by it.
No, not from political content, from your political content.
I have to be able to talk about it,
them about everything.
I have to be able.
Facts. Conservative content creators and Fox News and conservative news outlets did not lose viewership. All of MSNBC anchors literally lost probably like 50% of their viewership right after the election. That didn't happen to Fox and conservative commentators. That happened to all of these guys here. whatever his name is, Brian, Dave, all of them were crying because people were leaving. Hilarious.
Able to talk. I have to be able to get a word in. Unless you just want Dave Rubin to talk. Let me know, Piers.
I love hearing Dave
I
Rubin
would prefer
talk.
that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Piers.
No, if there's no rebuttal allowed, then I won't rebut.
You've probably done most
After
of the talking so far, so why don't you do a bit more talking?
I'll say this and then I'll be quiet the rest of the show.
Because Brian hasn't said anything for ages. I want to bring him in.
The theme, I want Brian to win. That completely reversed. I do think that it must be that Dave is upset that Brian and I have surpassed him in viewership and subscribers. Because if you just look at the numbers, it lasted 48 hours. They all came back.
I don't even know who this other guy is.
Well, look, if it's going to come to that, I'm the biggest rocket in the room, right? I mean, it's like as Trump said to Kim Jong-un, you got your little rocket, I got my big rocket. So let's not get into the size of each other's YouTube rocket.
But that's the smug nonsense. Nobody cares about that.
It's the facts, Dave.
Packman, I
Dave
honestly
calls
have no
anything
idea what your
Let me bring in Brian.
I
Let me bring in
what
Brian.
your views are, but I couldn't care less. I know your ideas are terrible. Like I don't care what your views are. Who cares?
Let me bring in Brian.
You brought it up.
Brian, on a wider point.
Yeah, so there you have it, guys. Absolutely entertaining. David Packman got cooked. And it was just, oh my goodness. I enjoyed every minute of that. Now, I hope you did as well. But let's get into the comment section because you know it goes down in the comment section. We got, first comment says, I haven't seen Democrats this upset since Lincoln freed the slaves. No. Since Lincoln freed their slaves. It's not the slaves, their slaves. It was the Democrats' slaves that the Republicans freed. Next comment says 1.6 thousand likes. This show is always a shit show, and yet I still watch because it's entertaining when these guys get cooked on here. Next comment says 3.3 thousand likes. Someone asked David if Kamala is still winning by 3 points in Iowa. Somebody asked Asdtx too. Next comment says David Packman is like that one kid that reminds the teacher to collect the homework. 2.6 thousand likes. Somebody else says we can finally be unburdened by what has been. Packman is the most disingenuous, self-absorbed beta male online today. Man, I can't, bruh. He is a true smug liberal. Somebody says seeing Dave Packman get dunked on in real time will always be hilarious. Entertaining. I love it. Somebody says Packman's soul was destroyed. Getting called out by a trans Democrat is absolutely amazing and hilarious. Oh my God. Somebody says he forgot the Amish. The freaking Amish voted for Trump. Absolutely amazing. Somebody says no wonder Packman is losing subscribers by the thousands. What an other ignorant moron. It's unbelievable how smug he is. Unbelievable. It's off-putting. It's like why would I want to join your side? The Democrats' smug attitude is exactly what makes most independents vote Republican or third party. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please hit the like button down below. It really helps the channel. And of course, if you're brand new, consider hitting the subscribe button for more content. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.